Chrissie from Sussex is next. Now, Chrissie, speak with care, because this is, you know, this is one of these stories that are really hard to believe, and I appreciate you calling in with it, but go on, tell us your experience.
Good morning.
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 I believe I've been abducted several times over the past 18 months.
By aliens?
Yes.
All right, go on.
Basically, they always come at night. I've never ever been abducted in the daytime. It got to the point where I was terrified to go to bed. I would try and sit up most of the night until...
Chrissie,
preferably to try and sleep in the daytime so that I knew they wouldn't come then.
Just hang on a minute, Chrissie.
Yes.
How do you know you've been abducted? Sorry, what happens?
I would be in bed and I would be disturbed, and I would awake, or I would be lying in bed and see a bright light come through my window, through my curtains. And there would be a form in my bedroom at the base of my bed.
A figure? I
would be terrified, and I couldn't speak. I wanted to speak, and I was thinking, go away, but there were no words to come. Whether I blacked out then, I don't know. All I know is I woke up on some sort of trolley or bed in a very long, which looked like a metal corridor. There was nothing there except this very metal corridor. And me laying on something.
What were the aliens that you say you saw? What did they look like?
Fairly tall and slim, with egg-shaped heads.
Are they wearing clothes?
No, they're just...
What, smooth-skinned?
Sort of grey, with an egg-shaped head, just a shape. They had arms.
And what do they do to you? I mean, you're in this corridor, what happens?
There was a light at the end of the corridor. It was always the same. There was a light at the end of the corridor on the left.
Yeah.
Very, very bright light coming through a square doorway. And I would be propelled down there. A form would come out of the doorway, and I would be propelled down. And as soon as I went in, I would feel myself screaming inside my head, and that would be the end of it, and I would wake up in my bed.
The next morning?
Yes.
Any pains, marks?
I've had lots of pains in my left ear.
Now, we've interviewed one of your compatriots.
John Mack.
That's right.
Yeah.
Who believes thoroughly in alien abduction. I think a lot of people listening to that story, and Chrissie obviously believes she's telling the truth, and say she's having some kind of breakdown, or she's having some kind of vivid nightmare.
I don't think we can make a judgment unless she were to work with a researcher, with professional people, to try to take the top layers of the story off.
Yeah.
And see what happened behind them. That kind of story is fairly common, as John Mack would have told you. Dr. David Jacobs in the States has worked with several dozen abductees, and this is a typical approach to the problem. But the important thing, I think, is for her to realize that there are lots of people who apparently have similar experiences. In the debate at Oxford next week, my partner is a man, a solicitor in Manchester, as a matter of fact, Harry Harris, who has worked with professional people and a number of abductees who tell stories not too different from that.
But do you think maybe what we're talking about is a collective psychosis, in the sense that, well, hang on, schizophrenia very often produces voices in the head, and many schizophrenics can actually learn to live with that symptom once they understand and have the insight of knowing that it is their own mind speaking to them, and well, then they live with that symptom.
We naturally have a tendency that anybody tells us a story we don't really want to believe, a child saying a priest sexually assaulted him. It must be in their head. You know, but I think you need to lift up the cover and see what's really going on. I'm not saying all abduction stories are true.
No.
Most UFO sightings can be explained. The serious researchers, when they check on cases, at least 25% turn out not to be abductions. So we have to withhold judgment until professional help can be called in to try...
take away the layers, as you say. Yeah. What do you think, Jude?
I don't know. I mean, I was very impressed by your colleague who came onto the programme and said that actually these abductee stories, they do fall into classic patterns. They do tend to see different types of events. There was one that sort of tended to be very tall and blonde and Nordic looking. There are others which tend to be sort of more egg-shaped, a bit like the one Chrissie's. I mean, you just don't know. The problem is when lots of people talk about it, there's obviously bound to be some people who genuinely are
suggestible,
funny, or whatever.
They echo what they've heard on television or read in a book. Sure, that is a problem. But it's a problem for almost anything. Police have their problem when a crime is committed.
If we were to make the assumption then that it were true, and Chrissie was telling us a story, I mean, I'm sure that what Chrissie says she believes to be true, but if it was objectively true, what's slightly chilling on that assumption is that these guys, whoever they are, do not care at all about the trauma that they inflict on human beings, and neither are they worried about being caught.
Both of those seem to be true, although many abductees report that they get reassured. It'll be over soon. Pain stops when an alien touches their head, things like that. They seem to be being kind to dumb animals, if I can put it that way. No insult intended. But we're lab specimens, not equals. That's the point.